Alrighty, guys, welcome to tonight's session. Hopefully, everybody's been having a good day today and ready to get started. So it is Wednesday, August 2nd. I took one trade today. It was later in the PM session, and we'll go over that. So the way that we're going to do tonight's schedule is I kind of want to go over just the overall action today. In the pre-market plan, I did say that I was expecting to see a sell-off today, so I'll talk about kind of why I was expecting that. And then we're going to end it off talking about what we're looking at going into tomorrow. So I also want to go and replay the price action and see if there might have been any possible trades that we could have taken earlier as well. So first thing, looking at just ES going into the day, I did have a bearish bias. Now, the reason I had a bearish bias is specifically because of the formation that we were actually starting to kind of form up here, which is kind of like a market maker sell model, kind of like a power of three. And looking at just the action, you can see ES comes, we put these lows in, we come up, we take this buy side level at the highs, and then we get massive displacement to the downside, right? So this push alone, now this is starting to give me more selling pressure bias. Now, the reason why I'm not super biased yet is because we just came down, we swept this low. Okay, we swept this lower. Now we come back up. Now this is where I'm really watching to see what the market wants to do in this area. If we continue to break through this fair value gap on the 4-hour time frame, I would expect the market to continue what it's been doing, and it's just been in a bull trend since then, right? But if we're able to respect this and we get displacement to the downside, especially with the gap down, this shows to me like a clear market maker sell model. And this is exactly what it looks like. This is exactly what a manipulation play would look like. Let's say we have we have some sort of resistance level or a high, whatever it is. This is exactly what it looks like when we have a high put in, a break of this high, go back to that sell side, and then come right back to that level. This is a clear sell model. Clear sell model. And that's exactly to me what we had here. Is we had these highs here, we came up, came back one more time, displacement downside. So then when we came here today, when we came to this low, and we were looking at the 15-minute on ES, and we were, opening up right here, this move to the downside, I'm not expecting just because we swept this low to have a massive push to the upside. Just based off of the overall bigger structure alone, I know that this sell side level is going to fail. So a lot of the people that were trying to take longs in the pre-market session being like, oh, we just had massive displacement. Like, oh my God, look at this displacement to the upside on the 15-minute. Wow, we must be reversing. We must go back to buy side or whatever it is. We're going to go back to fill this weekly opening gap. They fail to realize that this sell side level, yeah, it's important to realize and recognize the structure off of it, but you don't realize when you zoom out that we're still in this massive range right here, and we haven't retraced back to discount. So that's what I think that we're going back to, especially with this move, is number one, retracing back to discount. So we do have a little bit more room. It is under this low. I would like to see us come back in this 4-hour fair value gap, or actually it's a daily fair value gap. So I want to see us continue to sell off going into tomorrow, and I would like to see us go back to discount of this area, possibly even OTE, because I think OTE lines up with that fair value gap, yeah. So it looks really good. If we can come back into that fair value gap, that's pretty much what I'm watching on ES. And then from there, I can look to see internal structure, see if we want to bounce on a bigger time frame. And then that, again, going to give me more bias being, hey, that's going to give me bias that's long going into the coming days. That's the way that I kind of like to figure out what my daily bias is going to be, because I basically look at this chart and say, hey, okay, market can do one of two things here. We can either do this, okay? And then, hey, if this happens, what do you think my bias is going to be? I'm going to be pretty long biased at this point in time. If we reach discount, let's say if we reach discount, and don't come into this. We sweep this low, we get big displacement, like big, right? I'm talking back up to like 460s area. That is going to give me probably more bias to the upside, especially if we break through any of the imbalances here. Or we continue to the downside. So going into whatever the day I'm watching, I want to see, hey, if I'm looking at structure right now and say, guys, my bias going into tomorrow would be, I'm actually going to say, I'll just say that. My bias would going into tomorrow, just by looking at this chart, would be, okay, number one, we have these equal lows here, so I want to see that act as liquidity. But we are starting to get an initial bounce. We know that equal lows could literally just stay there. We could form more structure. Like, everybody's seen it happen. We could, just come up here and then come back to break it. So that's something we want to keep in mind as well. But I would like to see just a quick rejection off this fair value gap to then come down, break this, and come into this fair value gap. So then when I get structure in this fair value gap, I know, hey, Justin, I'm at a bigger time frame point of interest here. If I zoom out a bigger time frame, right, we're in a very bullish trend. If we come back to this discounted fair value gap and we, get a volume push to the upside, that's pretty bullish, right? That's pretty bullish in whatever trend. So that's going to give me a bullish bias going into that week or that whatever those next couple days are. And then that's when I get to zoom in to even, more action, and I can get a clear understanding of what the internal draw is by using the external draw and stuff like that. So that's something I really want you guys to understand. And again, we always talk about overlapping models, but this is one of those things exactly. Just being able to understand, okay, where market is likely to go. Number one, we haven't retraced discount of this range. We know markets like to retrace discount. We have equal lows. This, little move to the upside isn't, I have confidence that we're probably going to come back to this. Now, I don't know when we're going to come back to this, right? That's when we look for internal structure, right? Internal structure. Say, hey, maybe we come back to discount of this range. We reject off of, let's say, we have like a breaker here, right, or whatever it is. We reject off that. We sweep, this high. Hey, that's a possible setup to then go to whatever my external draw on liquidity is, right? This is an internal play, basically meaning, hey, I have a bias that I'm bearish looking at the trend in the past action where it's super bearish. If I can look to trade an internal model saying, hey, we zoom in here, boom, we sweep this high, get displacement, market structure shift, fair value gap, and then targeting whatever that is the highest quality trades that you are going to take, is when you can recognize what the higher time frame draw is, you recognize the clean price action, and you can overlap models and recognize how to take good quality trades by using internal liquidity based off of bigger time frame draws. So, looking at the action today, the only really trade I would have taken that I didn't take would have been this. Actually, I was really close to. I was pretty much about to pull the trigger, but I decided just to be a little bit more patient. But this was it right here. ES continuing to sell off, massive displacement to the downside. We're coming back up to this fair value gap here on the 1 minute, and we end up sweeping this internal high. And just by looking, you might say, Justin, why would you take shorts here? We just, oh my God, we just swept this sell side level. Oh my God, like how could you take shorts here? Well, if you look at NQ at the time, NQ was nowhere near sell side. And the amount of strength and the amount of selling pressure that we had to the downside gave me confidence that whatever SMT was there is likely going to get flushed, especially because of how bearish we were. Again, looking at ES at the time, the clear draw on liquidity on NQ, again, using higher time frame bias, right? Looking at the 1 hour, hey, we are very, very bearish on NQ, right? We have all these stacked equal lows here. We just came up, rejected this, displacement downside. I'm confident this is the draw. So I'm even extra more confident that this internal sell side is the draw. And that's where we weren't even at the time where that setup on ES happened. And that's why I was a little bit more bearish, on ES, even though we swept sell side. Because look, I know NQ's coming down to this low. So we get a big move to the downside, a lot of selling pressure. I see internal liquidity swept on ES. NQ, we get displacement to the downside. You got a fair value gap. This would have been my long stop, what it should have been at the top of this high, or maybe a little bit above it to avoid a stop hunt, whatever. And then I would be targeting these recent lows, and then on NQ, I'd be targeting this low that ended up getting taken. So that would have been pretty much the best possible trade I could have taken today. Let's look at something else. Let's see if there's any scalping models. This does look like a day where we could get a scalping model. And literally right here, this would be a scalping model as well to the downside. Again, if you haven't watched my scalping model video, I highly recommend checking that out. It's basically a model that I made using ICT concepts to take advantage of like strong trending moves like this. And the first thing that we need is an SMT of some sort. So looking at NQ, or looking at ES, we made a higher high. Looking at NQ, we made a lower high, and then the first thing you look for afterwards is you do not need to break a structure with this model. You take whatever the first fair value gap that gets touched. So I don't care if it's this one, I don't care if it's this one, I don't care if it's this one. It's just whatever the first fair value gap after the displacement of the downside gets touched, that's your entry. So for ES, it would be this fair value gap. This would be your short, targeting new lows, and then your stop would be at the high. Again, same on NQ displacement. You would take this fair value because that was the first one that got touched, and then new lows, and then whatever your exceeding draw on liquidity is. So then the trade I ended up taking was actually kind of like a separate scout model, but it was a little bit not a scout model at the same time, and we'll talk about why. And it was, where was it? It was right here. Wait, let me go to a bigger time frame, sorry. Where was the SMT? There it is. So we had SMT here, bearish SMT on ES and NQ. Again, notice this SMT is not as wide as the previous one. Something we want to take into account as well. Looking at ES, when we got displacement to the downside, this move here, I looked to take whatever that fair value gap was, which was this. So I entered short. I was up around 1,000 at this point. My stop was very tight, so I get very small loss on this. My entry was like here. My stop was originally here, but when we got that displacement down, I moved it to here. And then ended up getting stopped. I think I lost like a couple $100 there. But again, the risk reward on this was really, really nice. So I'm totally fine taking a loss. Again, I was up 1,000 at this point, so that was like a $3,000 trade if it was a winner. Seven risk reward on that, so it would have been nice. But again, you can see we ended up coming up and then continuing to respect the SMT, continuing to respect the draw on liquidity. It's just the risk was a little bit too. Again, I'm totally fine risking this. I'm not mad that I got stopped because I know it's good habits, especially in a day like this. You do not want to over. You're gonna get stopped a lot trading this kind of action. So I like this setup. Good risk reward. We ended up meeting the draw on liquidity, so this was a fine trade to me. And then really after that, there was really nothing else, or at least I would have taken. So let's talk about going into tomorrow. Now we talked about a little bit in the beginning, but I'll bring up NQ here. Now, looking at NQ is actually looking really, really interesting. Charts are starting to we're starting to really do stuff. It's like I'm actually excited. The markets are doing shit. Like we're setting up to possibly have, a bigger move in the coming months. So we'll see. But looking at where we are right now, NQ on a bigger time frame. Again, daily, we just swept these 2 equal highs on like the monthly chart, which is what we've been paying attention to. And at now, what we're just having the waiting game, right? To understand what the bigger draw is on, a monthly time frame, we need internal structure starting to form. And we're starting to get that right here. Now, going into tomorrow, I am not going to be bullish or bearish. And the reason is because we are at a point in time at the charts where it could do either one, right? If we flush to the downside here tomorrow, this becomes our market structure shift on a bigger time frame, right? Because again, we swept buy side here. We come back here. This is the first low after sweeping that buy side level that is going to get broken through with big displacement. So if that happens, I would expect to see possibly this. Have this massive daily fair value gap. If we get displacement to the downside tomorrow, we could expect to possibly see this. And that kind of is what I want. That's kind of what I want. So I want to see a selling day tomorrow. But we also have to keep in mind as well, we have, I think, we've definitely reached discount of this range. We've reached discount of this range. We're in OTE. We just swept this sell side level. So depending on what happens tomorrow, I really don't have any bias going into tomorrow. Now, we could be a little bit more bullish short term, meaning we could come up, maybe come up to these fair value gaps in the overnight session and then look to go lower. But we'll see. We'll see. Any questions? ICT took the trade you're talking about? Yeah, that was a nice trade. OTE is optimal trade entry. Justin, can you go over again why you didn't take this morning ES trade? I did end up taking it, but honestly, you said on the live that you weren't looking for shorts. It really messed up my bias. And do you tell any advice? No, I was looking for shorts. I just thought the specific play was not a high quality trade. I thought it was a good trade, absolutely. Just taking advantage of the trend. You had to break a structure. You had a fair value gap. It's a good trade. It's something that you should backtest, and I'm totally fine if you took it. But I was just being a little bit picky, and I wanted to wait for A+ setups, especially when I was just waiting for the draw to be taken. Hey, at some point, can you check Top Step dashboard? I had a great day, but it doesn't reflect on the dashboard. It should update. Can you check your Top Step dashboard? I had a great day. My Top Step dashboard is going to be the exact same. How do you trade currencies through Tradeovate? There's like symbols like 6B or something and stuff like that. Can you explain why this didn't work? Again, I said earlier today, you sent me this. This market structure shift isn't valid. And there's, again, this market structure shift isn't valid. There has to be a more significant high here. There's no high here. SMT doesn't matter. Again, the overall draw on NQ is still lower. Looking at NQ, at that point in time where we were forming an SMT, which was right here, we look like we absolutely want to die. The clear draw on liquidity is this. We just came up, again, looking at the daily time frame. Use the daily and 4 hour as your overall biases. We just had a massive rejection on this massive daily bearish fair value gap. What do you think the draw is? The clear draw obviously becomes this low. So again, it's just failing to take into account overall. That's what I'm talking about, is the high quality versus low quality trades. You know that the overall bias is lower on a bigger time frame. So when I ask you that and I'm saying, hey, why are you taking longs right now? Because you want something to work. I need everything to line up. Everything to line up. Or else I'm not going to take a trade. You just got to have that discipline. I think there's a 4 hour Reaper fair value gap. I never watched the Reaper video, bro. I never did. I have no clue what a Reaper fair value gap is. So I hit my max loss on Top Step. Does my account get deactivated or do I got to pay a new one? Is it the max loss for the day or is it the liquidation level? Because it got liquidated, then the account's done for. Is it weird I like shorting more than long positions? It's not like setups, just taking shorts in general. I'm the same way. I like shorts. I've always been more consistent with shorts than longs. Again, no break here. There's no long here. Oh wait, did you take this after? Yeah, again, choppy action. There's no trade here. We're not going anywhere. There's really nothing there. If I buy my Top Step account now for 50, will it be able to start in October without having to pay 50 per month? I believe so. It has some issues. Let me go to Top Step. What's wrong with it? Yeah, what was my loss? Yeah, $250 weekly net. I've lost $250 this week. That's it. Notice how small the losses are, guys. Keep the losses small. Do you have any advice for not breaking my own trading rules? I was doing good for a while, but setback today. I feel like I just need to make a decision. Yeah, you need to make a decision to stop being a bitch and start having discipline. Stop slacking. Stop slacking on yourself, bro. That's all I got to say. Again, I always like to say, if you're not disciplined outside the markets, you're not going to be disciplined inside the markets. So it's just basically asking yourself how bad you want it. Like, you know what you need to do. Like, you literally know what you need to do, and you know what you're doing wrong. It's just making the actual decision consciously to actually change it. And that's the hardest part. Because guess what? Humans are fucking stupid. We suck. And it's hard to actually do something. You know you need to do something, but again, we're fucking little cheeky bitches. We're not going to do something that just, you understand what I'm trying to say. But it really just comes down to how bad you want it. Are you going to have the discipline to really practice those things and practice good habits and stuff like that? And that's going to stay with you. Y'all don't realize how hard it is for me to not take a trade today. Glad I didn't, though, getting the mental right. Exactly. Yep. I love to hear that, Dawson. Again, trust me. Dude, guys, trust me. When I first started trading, you do not understand. I was probably worse than all of you guys. Probably worse than all of you guys. Actually, I don't know. But I was bad. I could not have a single ounce of patience. Market would open. I was in Tesla calls. I didn't even know what the contracts were. I was in. Nothing. And I would always look for opportunity that was not there because I just wanted the feeling of putting on a trade. I thought that I was doing well and I thought that I was growing if I was constantly putting on trades. That is not the case. Think about it this way. You think you're going to do well in any sport, any activity, practicing the wrong habits, and then you get to an actual league and you're like, oh, fuck, I'm getting absolutely shit on because I've been practicing such terrible fucking habits. That's like going to the gym for 1,000 hours expecting to get ripped, but you go and just fucking do 10 push-ups and leave. They're like, oh, I've been in the gym for 10,000 hours, bro. But you're not doing anything. It's the same with trading. You can put thousands of hours in trading, but if you're not focused on the right things that are going to make you successful, that time is wasted. It's completely useless. Let me let my dog out of my room real quick. I'll be right back. All right. I see something that traders get more dopamine release from entering a trade than actually winning one. Oh, 100%. 100%. Because entering is actually what happens after the waiting. That happens first before the profits. So when you think about it that way, it's like, hey, I've been waiting for, 2 hours to take a trade today. Finally, I get to fucking press a button. Like, Justin, when you get a girlfriend, are you going to pretend to be broke, or will you be straight up with her about how much you make? Oh, if it's not a girl I can trust with telling how much I make, then it's not the right person to begin with. I need an actual partner, like, not a girlfriend. And that's why I don't really date anybody, because I'm not looking for like a fucking aside. Hell no, I'm not dating Tory trades. Check out gold. Yeah, I'll check out gold. Damn, gold ran through that daily fair value gap. This is interesting. We're looking a little bit more bearish here because we just broke through that. Now we do have kind of a weekly still here. We definitely can still close above this. This kind of does actually look like we could. Right now though, I would want to see probably this, just because we're breaking down below this fair value gap. So I'd probably expect the draw to be that low. Yeah. But again, I don't really like this 1 hour. I'd like to see us come back up here, maybe sweep this high first. And then YM isn't really doing that much either. Actually, we just swept this YM, setting up nice. All right. Justin, staying disciplined with this strategy is hard in my opinion. I just need to learn what good and bad setups are, because currently if I see a liquidity sweep, market structure for value gap, I'm entering, or SMT, my brain just shits the bed trying to get timeframes to align. It just takes experience. It's just like a language. The more that you use it, the more that you say it, the more that you see it, the more you're going to recognize it. And it needs experience, right? You're not going to, come in day one and expect to be fucking LeBron James at fucking trading. You need a lot of time put into looking at the exact same thing and seeing those things and being able to recognize it real time. How often do aftermarket setups happen? Well, actually, wait. How often do aftermarket setups happen like that YM trade we took the other day? Again, it just happens. When it happens, it happens. What Tradeovate membership allows me to trade gold? The market data? I'm actually not sure what it is on Tradeovate. I took this trade backtesting my edge. I find myself taking better trades on my own, but then I listen to other people's biases and it messes me up. Would you recommend just blocking out the noise and focusing on my own this day? You weren't looking for shorts. Let me tell you this. I'm actually gonna drop some gold right here, because I didn't even really think about this until a little bit recently. But I 100% think that something that held me back when I was unprofitable was exactly that. Anytime I would always be looking at Twitter, I was always in Discord seeing what other people were trading. I would always see what other people were thinking. First thing I do when I wake up going into the morning is I look at Twitter, seeing what's on people's watch lists. None of what I was looking at the market was my idea. I was building no confidence. I was building exact false confidence. And when you go into a market with false confidence and you're not your own ideas, you have no true conviction with whatever you're trading. And when don't have any conviction, That is why you're so emotional. That is why, because you have no confidence in what you're trading. You have no experience with it. So when you go into the market and looking at all these people, whatever you're thinking, you're automatically second guessing. You're like, okay, this guy has just made this guy made $100,000, but he's, inversing me. This guy, is saying the exact opposite of what I'm saying. So I'm not going to trust my own instinct or my own edge. You got to realize everybody is trading completely different things. Even though we're all trading SMT, we're all seeing something differently in our own eyes. So you should not be taking into account, your partner or anybody randomly on Twitter unless you know that person is the one that, that's trading the same with you. You have similar concept. You like us, that you can come to us and we're going to say the exact same thing most of the time. But when you're on Twitter all the time talking to people or seeing like ideas, people trading different things, you lose your own confidence. And that is the worst thing you can do in trading. So I 100% agree. If you want to see growth in yourself, block out all of the noise. Block out all of the noise and trust yourself and build confidence with yourself. It's the only way to truly learn. Like now, like anytime I trade, I don't look at a single thing. I don't care what other people are trading until the day's over. When the day's over, it's like, that's why you guys are like, yo, ICT just tweeted blah 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 blah's buy side. It's like, yeah, motherfucker, I know that. I literally like I don't look at anybody anymore because I trust myself. I mean, and I live trade with you guys. I'm constantly telling you guys what my thoughts are. And I want you guys to recognize the confidence that we can build just by looking at stuff together. Because it gets to a point where we all start thinking the exact same thing. So the noise isn't even really noise anymore. It's more of a team adding to each other's conviction. What's the funded at? It's at 1519. All right, guys. That is all that I have for you guys tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight's charter session. I love just coming on here and talking with you guys. I think this was a very beneficial session, just talking about the journey and more of, specific things you need to focus on. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Anybody have any further questions? Always just at me in the Discord. I'll try to help you guys out. Again, it can be hard sometimes. You could be struggling. It takes time. Make it happen. Prove them all wrong. You got this in the bag. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning. Peace.